All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for looking at the markets. And listen, this is not about finding the next hot tip. It's about a total mindset shift from being a gambler to being a disciplined business owner. So let's get into it.
You know, it's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You see so many people jump into the financial markets, they're full of hope, and then they just watch their accounts shrink. And the reason why? It's usually way simpler and more fundamental than you think. It's not about being smart enough. It's about not having a structure.
And right here, this is the core mistake. People get totally obsessed with finding the perfect trading strategy. You know, the magic indicator, that one flawless entry signal. All their energy goes into tactics, and they completely ignore the business system that has to be there first. It's a classic case of missing the forest for the trees.
So that's our first big topic, focusing on the wrong thing. This laser focus on just one strategy, without any kind of foundation, it's pretty much a guaranteed recipe for failure. It's kind of like deciding you want to be a master chef, but the only thing you've learned is how to chop a carrot.
I mean, think about it like this. You'd never hire a construction crew and just say, hey, start building a house without a detailed blueprint, would you? Of course not. You'd get total chaos. But that's exactly what so many of us do with our money. We start placing trades, basically just laying bricks, with no architectural plan for what we're even trying to build.
Okay, so what's the fix? Well, it takes a complete mental flip. You have to start treating your entire financial life like a real deal, serious business. And the blueprint for this business? Well, the source material calls it a business management system, or a BMS for short. Think of this as the big umbrella that covers literally everything. It's the professional framework that's going to govern all your financial decisions, taking emotion out of the equation and putting a process in its place.
And you can see just how much this thing covers. I mean, this goes way beyond just looking at charts and making trades. It's about managing your entire financial world, your day-to-day money, how you invest in yourself to learn new skills, and the very process you use to make a decision in the first place.
Okay, but a system without rules is just a wish. So let's get into the unbreakable rules that actually make this whole thing work.
Now, this quote right here, this is absolutely key. It just nails the whole idea. See, the market isn't some IQ test. It's a psychological battlefield. It rewards consistency and discipline way, way more than it rewards raw intelligence or some random flash of brilliance.
And this brings us to one of the first most important rules of discipline. You have to learn things in the right order. So many people get this completely backwards. They jump straight to step 3, and they end up paying this huge tuition fee to the market with their losses. The disciplined way is to first learn how to analyze, then use that analysis to build real conviction, and only then do you actually place a trade.
All right, unbreakable rule number 2 is all about protecting your capital. It's called the 90-10 money flow rule. And honestly, it's a pretty radical concept for most people. It's not about what you make, it's all about what you manage to keep.
This chart lays it out perfectly. The idea is that a full 90% of all the money that comes in goes towards savings, buying assets, and growth, and that includes investing in your skills. And only that tiny 10% slices for everything else you spend money on. This is how you make sure your capital base is always growing, not shrinking.
Yeah, let's just zero in on that 10% for a second. The magic words here are tightly controlled. This isn't, a friendly suggestion. It's a non-negotiable rule. Any leak in your capital, any little bit of unnecessary spending is a direct attack on your entire financial house. This is a survival mindset, not a consumer one.
So once you've got that capital saved up and protected, it's time to put it to work. But that doesn't mean just throw it all at the wall. It means giving your money specific jobs to do.
And this is such a crucial point. You have to stop being just a spender and start being a manager of your own money. Because when all your cash is just sloshing around in one big pot, you're going to make chaotic, emotional decisions. It's inevitable.
So here's the breakdown. You've got your capital for long-term work. Think core assets, right? The source points to something like Bitcoin as an example you'd hold for the long haul. Then you have a totally separate, smaller pile of cash for your short-term, tactical moves. And maybe most important of all, you have your base capital, the foundation of your wealth, which never goes into a speculative trade, ever.
Okay, so we've covered the structure, the rules, how to manage the money, but all of this is really pointing to one big central secret. And it's not something you're going to find on a chart or in some trading book.
This right here is it. This is the quiet part of the whole framework, because the system, the rules, the charts, they're all just tools. The person using them, that's you,
is both the biggest asset and the single biggest risk.
And this table just lays out the cause and effect so clearly. It really is a simple equation. If you focus on growing your skills, well, your money's going to grow too. But the second your discipline slips, your money starts leaking out. And that moment your ego gets in the driver's seat, when you think you've got it all figured out, that's when the market shows up to collect its tax.
So, at the end of the day, it really comes down to a choice between two very different paths. You can be the disciplined architect. It's the mature path, right? It's all about survival and compounding wealth for the long run. Or you can be the Instagram trader, chasing what looks flashy and fast, but almost always ends up blowing up accounts.
And really, that's the whole point. This system, it's not a get-rich-quick lottery ticket. It's a tough, defensive plan that's designed for one main thing: to make sure you don't stay broke in the long term. It's about building real, sustainable wealth over time, one disciplined brick at a time. So I'll just leave you with this question. We know the market pays for discipline, not for hope or for genius. So take a really honest look at what you're doing right now. Is it an actual system, or is it just a bunch of random habits? And the real kicker is, what is your system actually paying you for?